Well, welcome back to the Majo Podcast, Real, Raw, Unfiltered. I'm Derek. I'm a psychotherapist here in Oklahoma City, married for 25 years and 7 kids. Got
Oof.
my co-host Jason with me.
And
Jason.
not a psychotherapist. Have been married for 24, almost 25 years. Do not have 7 kids because that's wild. But I have I have 3 kids and 2 grandkids.
Yeah.
Word.
Well, if you missed last week's episode, more than just a quickie, go check that one out. That one taught a lot of the conversations we've been having about intimacy, sex, connection, and what actually gets in the way for couples. And as always, if it didn't pop up for you, it's probably your algorithm. Your algorithm decided you weren't ready for honesty yet. So prove it wrong. Hit that follow and subscribe button. Check out the shows. So today we're getting into a conversation that carries a ton of judgment, misunderstanding, and bad assumptions. Bariatric surgery and massive weight loss. This is Bariatric Real Talk, Poop, Skin, and Sex. We've got our boy John Arpino with us today. John, go ahead and tell the people about yourself, introduce you.
What's going on, guys? I am John Arpino. I am a certified psychopath. No, I mean, I had bariatric surgery 10 years now. I'm down 300 pounds. Just been kind of sustaining that. Got a wife, got a kid. Living the dream, baby. So where you want to start?
Yeah.
You got a smooth voice, brother. If I could just I could listen to you just talk. You could talk about whatever. You could be like, this is how you build a birdhouse. And I'd just be like, fuck.
I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
I told my wife that one day. I'm like, man, I actually listened to myself, and I'm like, my voice kind of is okay. And she's like,
Dude,
yeah, babe, why do you think I've been with you for so long?
Bro, I swear to God, if you were just like, yeah, and then you take a coffee filter and you just make the coffee grounds, and I would be like, fuck, man, this is great.
He's been an ASMR voice, except not whispering.
That's why I was gonna get real deep. Just be like, put the coffee beans in the coffee filter, and then you boil it up with water.
Grind them beans up, girl.
Right.
You in the wrong profession, brother.
Oh, well, we appreciate you being here with us today, bro. Joining us for this conversation, which I know is a personal journey for both of y'all, and one that, like we were talking about before the show, my wife and I are about to be on. So first and foremost, the biggest question I wanted to ask to start with was, what is maybe one of the biggest myths or some of the biggest myths around bariatric surgery? That immediately will tell you, like, yeah, this person doesn't know what they're talking about when you hear it from that person.
I guess the biggest one for me is like, people have this misconception that you're never going to be able to eat food again, which I think is like the wildest thing in the world. So as soon as you say that, or if someone says you had the fat sucking surgery, then I know that you just have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because Derek and I actually had that conversation on Friday because he had his initial consultation with the dietitian, and she was no straws, no gum, no meat, no this, no that. You're never going to be able to eat red meat again. Like the steak is, you might as well just wipe it off the map. And I'm like,
yep.
Bro, no. You can't say shit like that. Like you could that is a for right this minute. Sure, yeah, that's going to be the thing. You don't wake up from surgery and be like, yeah, where's my straw, my Diet Coke, and a steak? Like it doesn't work like that.
100%.
Like that is not how it goes down.
Right.
I recently had a buddy who went through the process, and I went with him to all of his appointments. So when we sat down for his first initial consultation with the doctor turned around to him and goes, you can't have, this, and this. And then he goes, yogurt. And I was like, what do you mean you can't have yogurt? So like I turned around to my buddy and I was like, can you just step outside really quick? And this is hand to God, real story. And because I was doing work I was doing work with the surgical group at the time. Like I was doing their social media or whatever. So I kicked my buddy out of the room and I look at the doctor and I close the door and I'm like, you speak in too many literals. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, you're telling a person who's sitting across from you who's willing to have this surgery, like he's there, he's ready to go. And then you turn around and you say something like, you can't have yogurt, which is like, I was like, brother, I've been doing this forever. I was like, I don't want to tell you you're the doctor, but I was like, when you speak in literals like that, someone will take that to heart, and 100%. Then they'll decide just because of yogurt that they're not going to have the surgery. I was like, you need to just change your process a little bit and just not be so like, you can't, right? Because, I'll tell you straight up, 10 years in, brother, I use a straw. Like, I don't care. Like, and not that I don't care. It's just like, I am 10 years out. I do not have the same anatomy as I did fresh out of surgery. You know what I mean? And you definitely, it's not a bad habit, right? It's not necessarily a good habit, but it's just something along the way that it's like, you're going to be in a situation where it's like, I want to use a straw. And like, you're going to take a sip from a straw. And guess what's going to happen? The world is going to continue. The clock is still going to tick. You're going to take your next breath. Everything is going to be fine. So I don't like when doctors or people just in general speak in this like, you can't. There's a time and a place for everything. That's first and foremost. And nothing in this journey, in this life is set in stone. So I just don't like that stuff.
Well, that's why I love my surgeon, who's going to be Derek's surgeon as well. Is, you know, Dr. Joe Cribbins, is his famous line for everybody post-op is, did it hurt? No? Okay, well then do it. Did it hurt? Yes? Okay, well then don't do it. That's it. Like, that's his guideline for everything. Like, oh, you want to use a straw? Cool. Do that. Did you get gas pain after? Okay, well then you probably shouldn't do that. And and he never just says never. He says you probably shouldn't do that right now. Like, try it again later, but for right now, you probably need to put it down. And the thing about it is, like, the best part about that is just speaking in terms that people understand that it may not be forever. It's just for right now. Like, you have to try to do these things in a certain order. And there's going to be times where things are going to be better. And something like, I couldn't eat yogurt for almost a year. It was almost a year before I could eat. Yeah. I made my stomach cramp so crazy. It was yogurt and lettuce were my two downfalls. Those are the two things I couldn't eat until about 9 months out.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, I felt some of that, like, when I was meeting with her, because you know me, like, food and hanging out and fellowship, and like, that's something big for me, family get together, stuff like that, cooking out. And one thing she says is, she's like, you'll no longer be able to look at food as a fun deal or something that you just enjoy. It is fuel. It'll be fuel now.
Thing ever.
Yeah,
Which, yes, 100%. And so I like that terminology for sure.
Yeah.
It's, again, the fact that she's talking to you as someone who's about to enter in this journey, but it's the scare tactic and the literalness of it all that is just like, if you didn't know Jason and Jason wasn't walking you through this and you were just some Joe Blow off the street, like, I wouldn't be surprised if that turned you off. You know what I mean? Like, I never want to talk to this lady again. What does she mean? I'm not going to enjoy food. Food's my whole entire life.
Man, listen, I felt it immediately. Like, I sat there for a second. I'm like all of a sudden, and I told Jason this, but I also told her this. I'm like, I've been that dude because I'm 6'10". And so, like, I've been that dude that people want to have food contests with, right? Because I can eat a lot, and because I'm 6'10". And so I was already having a struggle with that, of like understanding like my food was going to change and the way I was going to be able to eat and stuff, like, you know, but then to think about, like, I'm not going to be able to look at family get-togethers and things like that, and food is just fellowship. I have to look at it as fuel. That, man, I was sitting there like, bro.
But like, that's the funny thing to me is like what John was saying. Like, if you didn't know me, because you and I have been together plenty, and we've enjoyed plenty of meals together, and I've been through 2 surgeries. So for you to sit there, for her to sit there and say that, like, you've seen me enjoy food, like, and we still have a blast.
Right. And that's what, like, the contradiction was in my head, because I'm sitting here being told this, and yet then I'm thinking about our relationship and us hanging out all the time, and I'm like, but bro, like, what if I am the one that can't eat? What if I can't eat like you can? You know what I'm saying? But then I'm like, well, no, I'm 6'10", and I know if he's 6'4", and Dr. Joe said what he said. But I'm like, then I should be okay. But then I'm like, man, what if it's not? Right? So, like, I went through this whole thing, and I would talk to Sheena about it. I'm like, man, I don't know, because it is like that. If I didn't know you and didn't have the other side of the education that I have, I absolutely would have second guessed my decision to do this.
Well, that's how I actually knew I needed to go through with mine, because I'm at my heaviest sitting in the office, and they're ready to schedule my appointment. And I'm like, well, when do I start the liquid diet? And they were like, well, that's Monday. And I'm like, but I have a potluck at work on Monday that I'm the one that scheduled and designed. So I know all the food that's going to be there, and I'm excited for that shit. So maybe I should put it off a day. Man, you don't schedule this shit right now. Like, that's how I knew I needed to schedule, because I'm sitting there battling with myself over something like a potluck. And had I not have done it when I was supposed to do it, I was the last surgery they had before COVID shut the whole hospital down. So if I didn't have it when I had it, I wouldn't have had it until God knows when. Like, it would have been at least a year before I got to have it again. And then by then I would have talked myself out of it probably 10 more times.
Absolutely. Because you would have been just fighting with it mentally the whole entire time, for sure. I had my surgery 5 days before Thanksgiving.
Woo!
Which is, you know, I did that on purpose, just as a mental test. You know what I
Nice.
mean? But I don't like Thanksgiving to begin with.
Gotcha.
It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But what I found was that in the beginning, right? Because there is a curve, right? Like you're definitely going to not be able to eat as much as you did, like naturally. You know what I mean? Like that's a no-brainer. We're getting surgery, so that happens, right? But what I found was that I was actually able to have more camaraderie in the sense of, for the first time ever, I was at these functions and I wasn't worried about my first, second, third, fourth, fifth helping. I wasn't worried that someone was going to take 2 more dinner rolls than me. So I better go back up there and I better go grab a couple more before there's no more. Instead, I was actually engulfed in the conversation that was going on. I was talking to relatives that I normally wouldn't talk to. You follow what I'm saying? And I was, I was distracting myself, sure. But at the same time, it was like that noise, everyone talks about this food noise now, right? But like that actual noise was gone. It was like I could just live in the moment and have a good time and not think about I need to eat this. I can't miss having that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I already had 2 pieces of pie, but now they just brought out this ice cream cake. And if I don't have a piece of that, I'm going to go nuts. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, you said it perfectly before. You're 6'10". He's 6'4". I'm 6'5". No matter what we do biologically, we have to take in more food than your average bear. We're bigger. It's just natural. So one of the things that I went through when I first got out of surgery was accepting that. It was the fact that I actually need to eat more than everyone else because of the fact that I woke up from surgery and I was able to eat more than I thought I was going to eat. And that was a mind fuck. That was a huge mind fuck because now I had surgery. You had surgery and you leave same day, right? So you come home same day, you're all drugged up, you're on Percocet, you have gas pains, you're walking around your house, you're miserable, you hate your life. Okay. Then you go to sleep. Whole day goes by, you wake up the next morning, and for the first time ever, you have no idea what to do with yourself. Because usually you'd be like, oh my God, I want to go get a coffee, I want to go get a bacon, egg, and cheese, I want to go do this, I want to go do that, I got to stop here. All of a sudden, food's not calling your name. You walk into the kitchen, you're not hungry. You open the refrigerator, nothing seems interesting at all. And then you're like, the fuck do I do with myself now? So what did I do? I made breakfast because of the fact that I was so engulfed in that routine that I just didn't know what to do with myself. So I made 2 scrambled eggs in the microwave with a slice of American cheese on top. And I made a protein shake with 2 scoops of peanut butter. And I sat down at my kitchen table. And guess what happened? I ate all the food. And then I called my bariatric surgeon. And I was like, you guys didn't give me surgery. You guys committed insurance fraud. And I felt like that for 2 months. 2 months. Because I had convinced myself, because I heard from everyone that I will hate food. I will not be able to eat food. I will not be able to do this. I will not be able to do that. And I mind fucked myself into thinking that I was doing this wrong. When really I am just a big machine. So I need more than everybody else. And that's okay. Right. But it's, we get brainwashed. Like one of the biggest things that I dealt with early on in my journey, and this is why I, to this day, will never post this is what I eat in a day or anything like that. Because I used to post things and I'd be like, oh, I ate all this. And people would be like, I can't believe you ate all that.
Oh, yeah.
How dare you?
Big judgies.
Big judgies.
All the judgies.
I wouldn't be able to eat all that. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, that's
what you're going to put on so much weight.
So I was telling Derek, I was like, people will be like, oh, I had a crouton and an ice cube and I'll be full till Tuesday. And I'm like,
yeah, okay.
I'm like, you better pull over here so I can get something to fucking eat. Like, I'm hungry.
Right.
That's why hanging out with the berries is hard. Like, I love my berry people, but man, if I'm not hanging with some people that need to eat, I'm like, oof, come on, man.
Well, that's a whole another story too, right? Because sometimes when I hang out with the bariatric people, I feel as though that they don't feel comfortable eating in front of people. So they feel like they need to have 2 pieces of lettuce and a slice of cheese and say, oh, I ate.
Yeah.
And 4 Starbucks coffees and everything's all right. And I'm like, no, I'm still going to go have some scrambled eggs. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to get a wrap. I'm going to do this, whatever. What I like to tell people now is like, okay, I'm 10 years in, I'm 300 pounds down. I've sustained, right? I eat as much as a regular human being who never had a problem with food before.
Right.
And that's the
Mm.
best way that I can put it.
But I mean, it's true though, because I mean, you get like the two things, the two misconceptions people have is that they're going to quit. Like they think when they quit losing weight that it's a problem. But you know,
Right.
like we have a very good surgeon that hangs out with us and does lots of things with Barry Nation, and his name is Dr. Eric Smith, and he broke it down to us one time we were talking. He goes, "Well, isn't a stall the point?" And
Correct.
eventually, you're going to get to a point where you maintain. It's the same thing as a stall. It just doesn't ever move. Like it may fluctuate a couple pounds up, a couple pounds down, but eventually you get to a point where you just don't lose or gain anymore, and that's what you want to do. Eventually, I mean, that's where that's the
Correct.
goal.
People
And
think you
it's
need to
hard.
lose forever.
Yeah, it's hard for people to grasp the fact that when you're big and the scale's not moving, it's a problem.
Correct.
But when you get on the journey and the scale starts tumbling, everything's fantastic. But the second that it stops, it's like, oh, fuck, I did this wrong. I did something wrong. Something's happening. So the surgery broke. I popped a stitch, a staple, something happened, and now I'm going to gain all my weight back.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, that's the mindset, the mentality behind it, because that's what we've grown up with, you know, forever, knowing that, you know, when it's not moving, it's a problem.
Correct.
But eventually you're going to get to where you just, it doesn't move, and that's okay.
My favorite analogy, and I don't think it's used enough, is the fire extinguisher, right? Why do you have a fire extinguisher in a building? Well, you need to, first of all, in case there's a fire, most of the time, you need to break glass in case of emergency, right? That's how you get to the fire extinguisher. So that's bariatric surgery, right? You break glass. We're in the emergency. We need to have surgery. Cool. Same thing like a fire extinguisher, though. Guess what? It runs out, right? It's not unlimited, right? So the tool of bariatric surgery is just like the fire extinguisher. It's limited. You need to learn the lesson you're supposed to learn in the time frame that you're given. If you don't learn that lesson, right, breaking those bad habits, introducing new habits, whatever, you're going to have a bad time. That's just as plain and simple as it is. If you want to fight against the grain of what this really is, then guess what? It's not going to work, right? Because you can do whatever you want to change, right? But you need to want the change. You need to accept the change. If you don't, it's just like, I don't know. It's like buying a bunch of shit you don't need, right?
Yeah.
I think we've all done that in life. We all bought a bunch of shit that we really don't need. And then we're just in a room full of junk. And it's the same thing.
Yeah. Going back to I mean, all these are myths and things you're talking about. Like I had a friend of mine I was hunting with last week, and his doctor told him that bariatric surgery was really invasive, and that she wouldn't necessarily recommend it. So she recommended or prescribed what was it, Majorno?
Manjaro.
Yeah,
Majaro, yeah. And I'm like, it's knowing now, right? I told him, like, bro, it's not invasive at all. Like, you'll be up and walking that same day. The next day, you're gonna be straight.
Within an hour or two of coming out of recovery, your ass is on your feet. They want you moving.
Which is another thing, right? Like that just goes to show you how many people just don't know about surgery in general, right? So like I had a buddy, I mean, me too. I had back surgery. Let's just say me. I had back surgery. I had back surgery 2 years ago. I had 2 discs removed from my back. I had my lamina shaved down. 2 hours after I woke up, they had me up and walking around the hospital, right? Because when things are sedentary, that's when bad shit happens. You're never going to have any type of surgery. You get a whole knee replacement, brother. Like they're going to have you up and walking that very day. You know, so the same thing happens with bariatric surgery. It's not, oh, you need to lie in the bed and cry and bitch and moan. It's no, bro, you got to get up. You got to walk around. You got to get that gas out of you, because that's really the pain. The surgery itself is really not painful. It's the gas that they fill your body up with so they could do the surgery. You follow what I'm saying? So I've been very blessed. I've been able to be in an OR room while someone is having bariatric surgery. I got to film a surgery. I got to do this whole thing. And it's very interesting because of the fact that they legitimately fill your body up with air like a balloon. And then a doctor will walk over and literally take a scalpel and just right above your belly button, make one little slit, and you just see the air deflate. And then they put in their robotic arms and they get to work. You know what I mean? But like, as far as like cutting and stitches and all this other stuff, like the old way of doing bariatric surgery, it's gone. Like they don't give you the autopsy scar anymore. You know what I mean? Listen, 20 years ago, definitely was like, I don't really know. You know what I mean? But now it's like 5 holes in the stomach and you're out the same day.
Yeah.
You know, it's wild.
Yeah. Which it brings up another question for me. I think is another myth too, and I've told Jason this before. Like I used to think this as well of like bariatric surgery being the easy way out,
Mm.
right? So talk to that a little bit about people who think it's the easy way out, and maybe how that's a mirror of how we actually view weight, discipline, and worth.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that I just went on a 20-minute tirade and told you how easy it is to follow this shit, now I'm going to tell you how hard it really gets, right? So, the reason it's not a cheat is because of the fact that, like, again, there's that moment when you first wake up from surgery and it's like, okay, well, what do I do now? Right. So someone who's losing weight, yeah, they have to relearn a whole bunch of shit, but they never change their anatomy. Right. So like someone who's having bariatric surgery is electing to change their anatomy. That's number one. Number two, it's literally taking you back in time and you have to redo your whole like learning how to eat again, right? So
Yeah.
like for a month, you're basically an infant again, right? So
Mhm.
you're just eating mushy food. You're just eating soft foods and then it builds itself back up. Um, you know, there's blood work that gets involved. You can be lacking in vitamins, which doesn't happen with normal weight loss. Like there's so many factors at play that people just overlook. Like, yes, we did elect to do that, right? But again, we know it comes with the territory, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, I said this before, it's a tool. And within that tool, you have a limited amount of time to use that tool, right? So if, like I said before, you don't learn the lessons, it's not going to follow through, right? It's harder because we're starting at ground zero and we're choosing to start at our worst possible era in our life, right? Because someone who's only 20 pounds overweight is not having bariatric surgery,
Right.
right? Nine
Right.
times out of 10, it's someone who's 100, 150, 200, 300 pounds overweight. You're at the point of no return. And guess what? Now your whole life is changed in a flash, just like that, right? You got to learn how to re-eat. You got to learn how to go to the gym. You got to learn how to treat your body right. You got to learn how to drink water all the time. You got to now learn also how to not drink water and eat at the same time. Okay. You got to learn to take vitamins every single fucking morning. You got to learn to actually appreciate the process that's going on. Right.
Mhm.
You have to remind yourself every single day that you chose to do this because at the end of the day, at the end of the tunnel, there's a better version of you, but you just can't see that better version of you yet.
Mm.
Right. So it's a mental struggle every
Mhm.
single day. You're battling with yourself every single day. Did I make the right decision? Did I do the right thing? Could I have done it another way? I don't see it as an easy way out. I see it as another layer of hell.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, when they
Yeah.
talk about like cheating when you do the surgery, I tell people the only thing I cheated was death because it was coming
Amen.
for me. It was coming for me hardcore, and it had my address. It knew where it was going. But yeah, I mean, the thing about it is like I'll lay down and have surgery 7 days a week. Like that was cake. It's what you do when you wake up. That's where it gets hard. Like
Right.
people think you just lay down, have surgery, and everything's better. But when you wake up, like what John's talking about, like with the whole what you have space to think about what you're going to do now, is because you have a brain fog about you when you're overweight and you're heavy and you just think about food all the time. Your food is on one track, and it's what am I going to eat now? I'm eating this right now, but what about lunch? What about dinner? What am I going to do tomorrow? Like it's just about food, what you're going to do. If you're hungry, how hungry are you? If you're too full, how full are you? Basically your whole system runs on food with a limited capacity for everything else.
Yep.
And then once you have the surgery, your hormones reset, your body wakes up and realizes that's no longer the case. It's almost like the movie Limitless. You almost have this capacity that's untapped that you're not used to. That brain fog lifts and clears out, and you're like, shit. Like, well, I don't have to think about any of that anymore. So now what am I going to do with all this
Correct.
time and thought process and space in my brain? Like, it's almost like taking something that used to have, 28 gigs of memory, and now all of a sudden you have 2 terabytes, and you're like, well, what am I going to do to fill all this fucking space? And you just get to work and start doing stuff. Like that's how a lot of times people, when you see in the bariatric community things pop up, people are like, oh my God, I had surgery, I'm so much better now, and I want to start doing all these things.
Correct.
Mm.
Because you get the energy, the excitement about everything going on, plus you have the mental capacity to do that kind of shit. So you just want to run and fill it with all the stuff that you can do. But with that time and knowledge and all those things, like you have, like John said, you got to take time to learn in those 18 months, 2 years of the honeymoon period that happened. Like you have to learn how for this to not be just another diet that you're going to quit on,
Correct.
because you have to wake up every single day and choose yourself. You have to choose what you want most over what you want right now, which means, if you do have a craving, if you do have a this or head hunger pops in and you go, man, pizza sounds really good right now. Well, pizza may sound really good right now, but if you're going to the gym 5 days a week and you come home and eat pizza, you might as well not have gone to the gym. Like you're working out and doing those things, but at the same time, like, fitness happens in the gym, weight loss happens in the kitchen. So if you don't collect your kitchen properly, then going to the gym all the time, really, all you're doing is, trying to outwork a bad diet. And that's very hard to do.
Absolutely.
So, taking the time to really learn this new way of life and, create these new habits for yourself is where the hard shit comes in, because you have to deal with a lot of things that pop in. Your new hormones are going to be going crazy. Everything is going to be, it just takes a lot to get things leveled out when you are going through this. Plus you're trying to heal. Plus you're trying to learn, what your body can tolerate and what it can't. Like there's just a lot of shit coming at you at a very high rate of speed.
Absolutely.
So that's why, like, it seems like you just lay down, have surgery, and then everything's great when you wake up and go, well, shit, I'm not hungry anymore, so I'm gonna lose all this weight. But it's not even like that. Doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what it's going to be like.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the time too, right? Like, not to throw a negative light on the situation, but a lot of the time when you do lose this drastic amount of weight, other health problems that you didn't realize that you had start to pop up. Right. So we see this a lot in bariatrics. It's like, oh my God, I lost all this weight. Life was so good. And then all of a sudden you go through like this really bad health cycle. Right. And it's not because you did anything wrong. It's just like all this stuff that's been just brewing for all these years finally just came to the surface. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Right. Because now your body and your mind are in two different spots. Right. Just like Jason was saying before, this fog list, all of a sudden you see all this potential in front of you that you never saw that you had before. And now you're running. Right? Not physically running, but you're running now. You're trying to hit all the fucking marks that you never hit before, or do all the things you never thought you were going to be able to do before. And you're running in overtime. And what happens when your body runs in overtime? Life has a funny way of knocking you on your ass when you're going too hard. Right? So when you take somebody who is 20 years overweight, morbidly obese, and they've been told you can't your whole entire life. And then all of a sudden they're down 200 pounds and they realize, holy shit, I can do anything. That's a person you got to watch out for, right? That's a bad motherfucker. That's someone who's going to either go one or two ways. They're either going to take over the world or they're going to drive themselves into the dirt.
Well, and two, like when you're talking about that, a lot of times with our bodies, issues that we may be having are masked by the fact that we're overweight, because you go into the doctor and you say, oh, I'm feeling like this, or this is hurting, or I'm having problems with this. And they go, well, you're just fat, lose some weight. You're just overweight. If you just lost that weight, you'd be fine.
Did you know that you're overweight?
Right.
Did you know?
You'd be like, oh shit, I forgot. Like I didn't, oh really? Like you think so?
Yeah.
Like, you think? Like my blood type wasn't chocolate milk when I was talking to these fools, knowing my ass was 468 pounds. Like if I broke my leg, gravy wouldn't come pouring out. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, so a lot of people find out, like they don't know. Like I didn't know I had osteoarthritis in my knee, but when I lose the weight, and all of a sudden I was like, dude, my knee hurts like a motherfucker. And they're like, yeah, you got osteoarthritis. And I was like, well, what causes that? And they're like, well, overworking your knee. And I'm like, well, I did clean out the garage and do some other stuff this weekend. He goes, no, like long term. And I go, oh, well, I used to weigh 468 pounds. He's like, well, that'll do it. And I'm like, oh, well, shit. But I don't anymore. And he was like, so? He's like, you did? He's like, how long did you? And I was like, well, quite a while. And he goes, yeah, well, the shit caught up to you. Like, high blood pressure, all those types of things, thickening of the arteries and the heart walls and all that shit. Like the heart's a muscle. And the more you work it, the thicker it's going to get. And that's, people just don't think about shit like that. And then you lose the weight and then you got to start, the taxes come due on that and they want to collect.
Absolutely. Or or it just because you get more physical. Right. Yeah. So like I didn't break my back at 522 pounds. I broke my back at 240. Actually, no, I broke my back at 215. Right. Like I was in the middle of a bodybuilding show. I was in Hell Week. And all of a sudden I'm a week out from flying to Houston. And I wake up one morning and I physically can't walk. I can't get out of bed. Don't know what's going on. I'm in excruciating amount of pain. All what I know is I need to hit my cardio for the day. I need to get to the gym. I need to do my 2 workouts because again, I am flying to Houston and I'm stepping on stage. Fast forward, find out I broke my back, right? So now I'm 3 days out from flying, and doctor looks at me and he goes, "You need to have surgery." And I'm like, "The fuck?
You're like, I fly out. I can't
Surgery?
have
Yeah, what are you
surgery.
talking about? I'm going to Houston." He goes, "Well, listen, I really don't know how you're going to do that. You can't walk." Okay, no problem. So whatever. I made it. I did acupuncture. I loaded myself up on lidocaine shots. Like I did the whole shebang. I stepped on stage. No one knew I had a broken back. I just kept telling them I kept cramping. Flew home, had surgery. I say that to say I've had a torn meniscus. I've had the broken back. I've had surgery after surgery on shit. Oh, I had my shoulder done. None of these were problems at 522 pounds. I had my dad look at me and tell me, "You were better off being fat because you spend more time in the hospital now with a broken something than you did when you were than when you were heavy." And it's like, yeah, but I'm challenging my body now, right?
Yeah.
But it's not, well, it is my fault, but like my body thinks or, acts as though it's a 90-year-old man because of the abuse that I gave it so early on. You know what I mean? I was 22 years old at 522 pounds. I was 250 in 5th grade. You know what I mean? Like my body was crying and screaming and begging for a break. And the first break I gave it, it was just like, okay, now it's like we can rest. We can try to recharge. Unfortunately, it's like, all these years you've been running with paper clips and bubble gum holding everything together. And it's like, it's gonna fall apart.
Mm. There was something you said earlier, John. I forget exactly what it was, but it rang true because I have felt that over the last few days of like, man, maybe I should just give it one more try.
Right.
Right. So like a little bit of a little bit about, because you don't know, John. So a little bit of what my journey has been over the last few years is I got to about 360 and I've had 3 knee surgeries. I had 3 knee surgeries over the course of 4 years, starting about 10 years ago. And that's when I really started gaining weight.
And you're 6'10".
Yeah, and I'm 6'10". Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And all of the injuries on my knees were on the weight bearing side of my knees. And so the doc, I was about I actually think I got down to about 295 on my last surgery. And the doc was like, "Listen, you have to get to 275. All this is on your weight bearing side. You need to get down. And if you get down, you'll be okay." Well, the problem is that over the course of recovery, I gained 20, 30 pounds.
Yeah, of course.
Because with my knee surgery, you're not up and walking. What I had done, you're not up and walking. I was out of commission for 6 weeks in bed, laid up, right? Except for physical therapy. And so I gained the weight back. Well, then now my knees hurt so bad, just to get physical, just to move, my knees were hurting so bad. It just kept going. Well, my eating didn't necessarily change. Right. And so then in like 2022, I think 2023, I was like, all right, I woke up. It would have been 2022 because I woke up and I was like 3 months from turning 40. And I was like 360, 357, run there. Like, all right, I'm going to do it. I was like, 100, it was 100 days to my 40th birthday. And I was like, I'm going to do it's 75 hard. I said, I'm going to do 100 hard.
Yeah.
Man, in 2 weeks, I had strained my quad. And then week 3, I popped my calf.
Yep.
And then, and I stayed in the gym and I got down to about 323, ended up dropping to like 317 at one point. But then I ended up popping my knee going down just to do an ab workout. My toe caught the carpet, my knee popped. And I was out the gym for like 2.5, 3 weeks, got me all out of and I got back up to 3. I think my highest now has been 340, 343.
Okay.
And so then I get back in the gym a couple months, something else happens. Get back in the gym, something else happens with my knee. And so finally I've just been like, bro, I'm tired of that back and forth, man. I'm tired of like building that momentum. Something happened and I gained the weight back. But a lot of it too is because it hasn't been a proper diet either. Like I'm basically starving myself doing, 4 or 5 protein shakes a day. That's 900 calories, but I burn 2,500 just living.
Correct.
And so like I'm starving myself. So as soon as I get out and I eat something, man, I'm just putting the weight right back on. Right. And so, but there was that moment the other day, I was like, man, maybe I should just give it one more try. Like, do I really need to do this? And it's that judgment, I think, is still kind of playing a part of it. Which kind of spawns the question, I guess, of how does judgment affect recovery and maybe affect your confidence or even the willingness to open up about your story. Now, I know you two are a little bit different because you've been very open about your stories. But in the beginning, I'm curious how that judgment maybe played a part and affected you all with recovery and getting your confidence and stuff like that.
Well, I will say this first and foremost, right? Like, there is something to be said about getting into this bariatric journey and first fixing up here, right? Like, you need to fix your mental health before you go on this journey. I was having this conversation with another weight loss creator the other day who basically turned around to me and she was like, I feel like I did this whole journey in reverse. And she was like, I lost the weight, I discovered myself, and then I realized that like nothing was good mentally. And I just want to let everyone know, like, that is 98% of everyone who does this journey, myself included, right? There is a lot of self-judgment that comes with this, right? There is nobody in this world who will hate on you, judge you more than you will judge yourself, right? So you need to fix that relationship with you before we begin any of this, right? Because Jason said it before, like, yeah, workouts in the gym and, the diets in the kitchen and yada, yada, yada. And all that is great. But if this ain't fucking right, like, you can try to fix the whole house. If the electricity don't work, guess what? You ain't fixing dick. You know what I mean? And it's something that it's my own cross to bear. Okay. I feel as though there are times where I feel like I've done this journey in reverse. I feel as though like the last 2.5 years of my life, while a lot of good was going on, there was a lot of bad. And because of all the bad, I couldn't enjoy the good. And there was a lot of me that like I didn't bother cleaning up in the beginning of this journey. And because I didn't bother cleaning it up then, I'm having a harder time cleaning it up now, if that makes sense. So a lot of this stuff is mental before we do anything physical. And there's something to what you said too before I want to just touch on. You said every time, it's like you get in the gym, you get in a good rhythm, and then it's like you put on all this weight, right? So the reason why I had bariatric surgery, right? I didn't want to have bariatric surgery. Okay. I was one of the naysayers. I was one of the people who thought it was a cheat. I hated everyone who had bariatric surgery. I wanted nothing to do with this community. And then I started my weight loss journey and I was doing really well. Okay. I was down 99 pounds naturally. Okay. My problem was I've had severe asthma my whole entire life. I basically grew up in an ICU unit. Okay. Growing up. My issue was every time I would have like a really good stretch of like going to the gym, losing weight, everything was like really working, I'd have an asthma attack. I'd end up back in the hospital and I get put on a steroid called prednisone. And prednisone either stunts your growth or makes you gain an exuberant amount of weight. As I said before, I'm 6'5". My heaviest weight recorded was 522 pounds. Okay. It was literally, I was gaining back 10 to 15 pounds overnight.
Oh, wow.
Overnight. Okay. And we were working hard. And then that is when my doctor turned around to me and was like, hey, you got to do this surgery, not because you don't know what you're doing when it comes to losing weight. We need to fast track this journey a little bit. We need to get you to the point where like you can go work out and we don't have to worry about you almost dying of an asthma attack. Cause that's why my whole weight loss journey started. I code blue to my house. I stopped breathing.
Oh, wow.
I had an EMT wheel me out of my house and say, I'm so sorry, because they thought I was going to die in the back of an ambulance. Right. So like, that's where all this began for me, was the fact that like every time I was on a good tear, it was like, life was like, nah, sorry, not today. So you are someone who I would consider that needs to be part of that fast track program, right? Because this is not one size fits all. It's never one size fits all. There is a numerous amount of reason why someone would get weight loss surgery. Everyone is just like, oh my God, it's because the guy is 600 pounds and he can't lose weight. You can lose weight, right? Weight loss is as simple as calories in as calories out. Like, we're not stupid. People in the bariatric community are not dumb. We know how this works.
Right.
But there are so many underlying conditions as to why calories in, calories out just doesn't work for us, right? Because we're so big. Again, if someone who's 30 pounds overweight is not having bariatric surgery, right? And that's why I laugh when people who are at these extreme heavy weights are going to doctors and requesting GLP-1s, and doctors are giving them GLP-1s thinking that they're going to lose 300 pounds on a GLP-1. It's never happened before in any clinical testing and anything. The max amount of weight you're going to lose is 12 to 15% of your body fat, right? Like, it just doesn't happen. right? And everyone wants to avoid surgery, but guess what? Sometimes that's the only route you can take. If you want to live and you really want to live and you want to change your life, you have to be willing to accept the fact that sometimes this is the only help that is at your disposal. And it's not a bad thing. It
Mm.
is a tool. And I can't stress that enough. Sorry, Jason. I know that you were going to say something. Go ahead.
No, you're good, brother. It's all true. The stigma side, yeah, the stigma side for that, like John said, I mean, you're going to judge yourself way more than other people are going to judge you, and
Mhm.
those that judge you just either need to have a deeper conversation with you to understand what it is you're doing. Because if somebody, you're not going to find anybody close enough in your circle that's going to give you that amount of shit about it. Because if they do, then you need to ask them why they don't want you around longer. That's the thing for me. Like
Mm.
it didn't take like I wasn't worried. Like I had told myself a few different times that I'm gonna, I can probably do this on my own. Do I really need to go this far? I can just do it, because nobody, I specifically no man, but mostly no people want to admit that they can't do something on their own. That
Correct.
they can't just do it. I can't just, get a handle on this. I can do this. It's not going to beat me. All the kind of shit that we tell ourselves. But it took my doctor looking at me and saying, "You're actively dying. You're 44 years old. You're actively dying. You tell me you love your family. You have all these new people in your family that you want. Don't you want to see them grow and live and be here?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Like I've gotten pretty addicted to this living thing. I'd like to keep doing it for a while." And so I mean, and
Mhm.
that's the thing. Like, so legitimately at that point, it wasn't a do I not? Am I going to get shit for it? How do I do this? It was a, no, we're doing this so that I can still be here because
Correct.
I've
Right.
got shit that I still want to do. And there was a quote that I shared on Facebook. It's funny because I shared it in 2014 and I found it again last year. So 2024 was like my 10-year like find it reunion or whatever on Facebook. It came back up and it said, the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why.
Mm.
And my quote in 2014 was, "I'm still looking for the why."
Mhm.
Well, cut to 2024 and I was like, "Oh, I found my why. My why is to get on, now that I'm on the other side of this bariatric journey and I've, got my second lease on life, like I'm trying to educate and help people as much as possible, give as much support as I can because I know what it's like to not have the support. And I
Absolutely.
don't want anybody else to go through what I went through and feel like they're alone or feel like they don't have anybody they can relate to that's had the surgery."
Mhm.
And so I found so many things that fulfill that second part of, finding out why I'm here. And, that to me overrode any kind of judgment or anything that I ever felt about having the surgery in the beginning.
Mhm. And I'm glad that John, that you brought up the mental health aspect because I think a lot of people overlook that in general.
Oh yeah.
And for me, that's something that I've been working on. Jason knows this, but as a therapist, I've been in therapy for roughly 7, 8 years now. I go to therapy every week. I believe if you
Mhm.
have, as a therapist, you need to be in therapy because you never know when your own stuff is going to come up, right? And so I've been doing my own mental work on it. I think that's part of the reason I've came to this place where I'm like, okay, I just need to do this, right?
Yeah.
Because I've done that work and recognizing these judgment things that are happening and stuff like that. One of the things that I struggle with though, and I'm glad you kind of brought up your why, Jason, and kind of maybe move into this part of the conversation is around identity because a lot of my struggle has been, and I've talked to Jason about it, is like that identity of that guy who can eat a lot, like dude that people look at and be like, man, you just smashed 25 wings, like, and
Mhm.
now you're eating you're eating a piece of cake afterwards, right? And like, yeah, like, and so that has always been a part of my identity as just I enjoy food. I'm the dude that can eat a lot, and early on, I never put on weight, right?
Right.
Like I could eat a lot, and because I was an athlete, I was 245, I think, in my senior year in high school, and I could eat anything all day,
Absolutely.
and so I guess there was a thinking about identity, and you think about your own journeys. Who were you before surgery, and who are you now, and how has that shifted, or how has that changed?
I mean, me personally, I'm a totally different person, right? So like I was irritable, I was mean, I was miserable. Um I was fake, right? To
Mm,
a real big certain extent because I put on this act for everyone in the world and then I would come home and I would be this evil person to myself and to my
mm,
family as well. Um finding out later on in life now that a lot of that had to do with undiagnosed ADHD and some
Mhm.
bipolar and stuff like that. But like at the same time, like, you know, I was living a hell, right? And no one can ever speak for the hell that you're living in, but I know from my own personal experiences, weight off of the table, like I had a bad childhood. Like that's just the nature of the beast. And I had a lot of trauma in my childhood. And, for a long time, like, yeah, I had my medical problems, but like food was my savior. Food
Mhm.
was my security blanket. Like I've said this time and time again, like I was addicted to pizza because of the fact that pizza made me feel good. Pizza
Mhm.
made me know that things were going to be okay. Pizza didn't call me fat. Pizza didn't call me stupid. Pizza did not have any expectations from me. Okay.
Mm. Mhm.
And it made me feel safe. When I started this journey, the day I knew I needed to start this journey was the day that I looked at myself and I said, "You're not going to have any more pizza." Like, and that was it. Like, I didn't have a real slice of pizza for 7 years. I live in New York. The best pizza in the world is here. You follow what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
and I told myself no.
Mm.
And the fact that I was able to tell myself no for 7 years was it just made me know that I could do anything because that was such a crutch for me, right? That my world opened. Like Jason said before, things were possible that were never possible before. And I went back to pizza. And I went back to pizza the morning after my wedding.
Mm.
That's the day that I had my first real slice of pizza again. The day before I went on my honeymoon, the morning after my wedding. And I looked at my wife and I was like, let's order pizza. Because for the first time ever, I was okay in my own skin. And I
Mm.
said, I don't need that security anymore. Like,
Mm.
I'm not him anymore. I'm him now.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I am okay in my skin. And I know that this one slice of pizza is not going to make or break me. I could have 7 slices of pizza right now, and it's not going to make or break me. And that's a different level of self respect. That's a
Mm.
different level of just like self awareness, like being able to look at a challenge, complete the challenge, reach the goal, and say, you know what? I can do whatever I want now.
Mm.
Before we pass it to Jason, I will say this. I tell everyone on this journey, you're going to meet 3 versions of yourself on this journey: your past self, your future self, and your current self. And you need to be ready to introduce yourself to all 3.
Mm.
And if you're not going to move forward in this journey.
Yeah.
Mm. That's a
No,
bar.
that's a good one for sure.
Mhm.
Um, honestly, I I use humor a lot when I was big, but I am one of the people that are fortunate enough to not have been big forever. Like I haven't been big my whole life. Like I've
Mm,
had, the chubby kid situation. Then as I got older, I slimmed down a lot. Like middle school, ninth, I guess my freshman year, I was, 5'11" or six, no, freshman year I made it to 6'3", 175 pounds. So I was, beanpole at that point, but then I quit playing football because my hips were bad, gained a little bit of weight then. So I'm rocking. By the time I graduated, I'm like 220, 225,
yeah.
6'4", 225. Like, and that's where I stayed until I got married. I'm like 235 on my wedding day kind of shit in 2001. So I was able to hang around there until about '07 when my thyroid crashed out because of the way that I would eat. Because I wouldn't eat all day. And then my one meal a day, I would just house whatever I could get my hands on. And so my thyroid went from not working at all to working overtime. And then, I burned it out. And so I had no idea that I had all these health problems kick in. Well, I gained 130 pounds in 7 months. And then
Crazy.
it just stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked. And then I get here, to we moved to Florida, and the next thing I know, I'm my health just keeps getting worse, and I'm 468 pounds. And my heaviest recorded, but I know I got higher than that because my scale just tapped out eventually. But then I got to looking at it, and I'm like, then you had to be the funny fat guy because then
Yep.
you had to use all the shit against yourself before people could use it against you. You thought you had to disarm everybody by being by being that funny guy or being the guy that was always there to help or do the best you can or be the one that lifts the heavy stuff because you're the big guy
Mhm.
or the one that everybody felt safe with. You're the security because you're the big guy, all that kind of shit. And I, I don't feel like I'm a ton different post-op because I've always helped people. I've always done the things. I've always been big in stature even before I had the weight itself.
Mhm.
So that part of it, but the thing about it is I'm way more confident and comfortable in who I am now versus who I was when I was big. And I care more, like when John talking about the respect, the self-respect aspect is it's huge now because now I used to tell everybody my clock only had 1 5 on it and it had the P after it because I wasn't doing anybody's 5 a.m. shit.
Mhm.
And I get up every morning at 5:15 now and I go to the gym every day. And I'm at the gym 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, doing what I got to do to better myself because I care more now. It matters now. All of this stuff, like, and I'm starting to see results, and that's even better, and that pushes me even farther. And it's just awesome to care now because before I didn't. People would just be like, "Oh, you're just eating yourself to death or whatever," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, but that's okay."
Right.
Like I do this, I work hard, I make the money. I'm going to eat how I want to eat. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. That kind of shit is the stuff that I was like. Sarah has videos of me just crushing White Castle burgers by the handfuls so that I didn't have to share them with anybody because they were mine and I made them and I would wait till nobody was home to make this shit. If they came home in the middle of it, I'd freak out and be mad because it was my time, my stuff, my food that, I was comfortable where I was at,
Right.
and it was all for me. Like, it's that thing. Like I always tell people, like, you know, food is what we can control in chaotic environments. When we have no control over anything else, we control the food.
Absolutely.
And nobody at the drive-thru is ever upset to see you. They're so happy to take your money. They're smiling when they give you the bag. Everything is great. And that's where the security part comes from. Is it's something I know I can control. I can handle it. They're nice to me. I'm nice to them. I get my stuff. I get what I need. Then I can go sit where I need to sit, consume what I need to consume, even if it kills me.
Correct.
Hmm.
Well, that's because food addiction also is the only form of addiction where you need to have the substance 3 times a day to live.
Yeah,
You
maintenance.
know what I mean?
You can't do maintenance heroin. You have to do
Correct.
yeah, but you have to eat every single day to live, and it's wild.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And a lot of people can't fathom like what it's like to not eat the way that they've been eating for so long, right? Like, because it does get tied to their identity. You were saying it before, like you like being known as the guy who can house everyone when eating, right? And I think all of us can kind of say that, right? Because I think in one way or another, we've all held that title in our friend group. And now I kind of think of it like this, like, we all got to see Jordan play, right? And it was cool in the moment, but you know what's cool? The legend of Jordan. The legend lives forever. Jordan can't dunk on everyone right now, but we could talk about it, how he did.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can't eat everyone under the table, but guess what, motherfucker? You did for all these years, and it's different.
Yeah,
It's way different. But like, also, like I said, like time and place for everything. And like the coolest thing about time is time moves forward and time changes all things. Right. So I said before how like I went 7 years without having a slice of pizza, right? Last night was John Cena's last match. I'm a huge wrestling guy. Anyway, John Cena's last match was on last night. I had a buddy over, whatever. We ordered pizza. That's what we did. I had 4 slices of pizza last night, guys. You had 4 slices of pizza. You had bariatric surgery, you fucking cheater. I had 4 slices of pizza. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't go back for my 5th. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
But I was conscious in the fact that I knew I was having 4 slices of pizza. And I was okay with it. And I knew that it wasn't going to derail me. I knew I wasn't going to wake up 75 pounds heavier this morning. You know what I mean? I made a conscious decision in the moment. I stuck to that decision. The decision was made and done. This morning, I didn't wake up and go to fucking McDonald's and get 7 McGriddles because I had 4 slices of pizza last night. No, I had egg whites. I had a cup of coffee. I went outside and I busted my ass and I fucking shoveled the snow for 2 hours. I came back in the house and I had dinner with my wife. You know what I mean? Like it's give and take, right? And I think when you are heavy and you're just so used to giving into yourself and giving yourself everything that you want and not being able to tell yourself no, you can't think of a scenario where you would ever be okay with telling yourself no.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? But like time heals all wounds if you allow it to.
Yeah.
Well, and it's hard because people think of the gravity and the finality of having surgery. Like this is you can't give up on this like you give up on diets. Because
Right.
we'll give up on ourselves mad quick with a diet. Like we're like, oh, I'm going to do this for a little while. And you're like, oh, I see a little bit of progress. That's cool. But now I'm just going to go do this instead. And you go back to what's comfortable because that's the best thing. It's like, oh, I'm comfortable here because I know how this feels. I know how this goes. I know what this is. But what people don't realize is the surgery may be final, but it's time to stop giving up on yourself. The time to make those changes is now. Like the only thing you're legitimately changing and giving up on is the fact that you're done giving up on yourself. And you make the changes every single day. Like John said, it's a balance. We're about the majority here. Majority is what? 51%. If you're doing stuff, you're going to do it better than 51% of the time. But in the days where 51% is all you can give, it's a majority. You're going to balance it out tomorrow. You're going to balance it out at the next meal, at the next snack, at the next whatever it is. Just because John ate 4 pieces of pizza this morning, he got right back on this morning and did what he had to do. That's what it is. I mean, just because, and if you know something's coming up like that, like he knows John Cena's wrestling the last match, cool. I'm not going to eat like a dick on fucking Friday because I know I'm going to eat like a dick on Saturday.
Right.
And sometimes those planned eating events are cool. Like you're going to have to do that. And that's not a bad thing. People are like, oh my God, you did that? Yeah, I crashed out on Saturday. But guess what? I ate cool on Friday and I'm going to eat cool on Sunday. And I'm going to eat, I'm getting right back on the path. Never, like the track that you're on for your journey doesn't ever go anywhere.
Right.
It's just whether or not you want to step on it or step off of it. It's only one step on or one step off.
Correct. And that's like circling back to what I said earlier, like time and place for everything, right? Because I used to be one of those people that was like, you can't have cake on your birthday. Like you had cake for all those years. Like you don't need it now. Like get over yourself. Oh, I don't need to have that special dessert that my grandma only makes on Christmas because I had it so many Christmases before. Well, guess what, motherfucker? Grandma don't live forever, right? Like, and there is a time and place for everything. So if it's one day out of the motherfucking year, enjoy the piece of cake, enjoy the whatever it is. And then tomorrow when the holiday is over, because it's such a special day, guess what? It's back to fucking business, right? Because here's the thing, when I was fat, I did the same thing. Everyone's like, oh, New Year's is coming up. Here's that one special day where like everything's going to fucking click and I'm going to start to lose weight. So why is it okay for that one special day where everything is supposed to like click and I'm going to be this new fit version of me? That's okay. But when I say I want to have grandma's fucking chocolate pudding on Christmas, I get crucified. And I'm like, oh, you fell off your diet. Oh, you're not doing the right thing. Oh, there's John. He's back to his old ways again. Like fucking blow me, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, absolutely. Sure. Like, I'm sorry. I can't enjoy myself for 1 second. Well, guess what, motherfucker? You're the reason why. You're the reason why that I even got the way that I was because of the fact that you opened your big goddamn mouth. You know what I mean? Like, and then it's back to, and then it's back to judging ourselves, right? Because now Aunt fucking whoever made a comment like, oh, look, John's having Christmas cookies. And then you're going to ruminate on that. And then it's like, oh, well, I fucked up now. So I guess I'll fuck up tomorrow. And I guess that fuck up's going to go into the next day and the next day, because guess what? I'm just a fuck up now.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to spiral down.
Oh, yeah.
So let's kind of, I know we're running out of time. So let's kind of go into kind of what the title is, right? Poop, skin, and sex. So after surgery, I'm curious, for both of you or the stories you've heard, how did intimacy change? Not just physically, but emotionally.
I hate talking like this because then I sound like a fucking dog and my wife hates me when I talk about this. So like, I'm not one of those guys who had like a huge problem when I was heavy, like when it came to intimacy and like dating and stuff like that. And like people hate hearing me say that, but like I was a confident guy in the sense of like, all right, these are the cards that I was dealt. I have to play this hand. What am I going to do? I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to die a virgin. No, I'm not going to die a virgin. I'm already fat. I got to die fat and a virgin. So like, so like I was all right. You know what I mean? I developed confidence. I became funny and I just kind of like, whatever.
Right.
But I will say this, when I lost the weight, the fake confidence that I had, I was able to experience the real version of that now. Right. So like that fake mask that I put on was no longer a mask. Because at one point in time, like I felt way better playing a character that, this fake character that I made, like J-Arp, right? So like J-Arp started as like That was my nickname in high school. When people were calling me Brucey from Matilda, because I was the fat character in Brucey, I started calling myself J-Arp, right? Because BBM was popping. You needed a BBM name. And I made J-Arp, and then I became this character. And that's where the confidence came from. And then I got into the nightclub business. I was a 522-pound club promoter who was bringing in the hottest rap artists ever, like all these cool DJs, whatever. So like, I made sure you couldn't touch me on that level. You follow what I'm saying? So I'm the wrong person to ask. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
But I can't shit. So since the poop is in the title, I have a hard time shitting now. So I will say, keep up with your fiber. That is like the biggest thing ever. I ruined my digestive system after bariatric surgery. That much I will say.
Interesting. So tell a little bit more about that. What's that about? Because I mean, that's important, obviously.
No, it is. So like my whole thing was, I always felt like, I take enough medication, I take enough pills. When you are on a fiber like regimen, you have to take fiber like 7 times a day, right? And it was just something that I was just really lazy with, and I ended up giving myself a lot of digestive problems. Like there was at my worst, like I'll be really, really honest with you guys, I was going to the bathroom once every like 3 weeks or so, and it was a struggle, like not knowing. So like, for those that don't know, like everyone thinks that constipation and diarrhea are 2 different things. Constipation is just a form of diarrhea. That's all it is. And you should never have either one ever, right? Like you need to be as regular as possible. And yeah, like I was going once every 3 weeks. My stomach always hurt. It was just like impossible to make a bowel movement, which caused more pain, I gave myself an abscess in my lower colon, and I had to have 8 surgeries.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, to this day, I still have problems with it. You know what I mean? That's not something that I always talk about. Like, I don't want to be the guy who's got ass problems, but like, yeah, dude, like it's a very serious side of bariatric surgery with losing weight in general, right? Like, that's why I said before, like, if you don't keep up with your blood work, if you don't know like what's going on really on the inside of your body when it comes to vitamins, when it comes to minerals, when it comes to fiber, like these are all really important things. Like they don't just exist in the ether just to exist. Like we need to actually like take advantage and find out why they do the things that they do, or else you will create more problems, right? Like just because we live this happy, quote unquote, skinny life now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? Like I have a shitting problem.
Well, it makes me wonder, before you give your perspective, it does make me curious, like that confidence you're talking about, like how did loose skin play a part of that? Because I know that can be, from what I understand, and that's a conversation my wife and I are already having, right? Of like, you're big, you don't have the loose skin, but then once you lose the weight, you have the loose skin that I know causes confidence issues and people body image issues.
I will say this, right? I think for me, it was like, I knew what I was getting myself into, right? Like I was a very logical person in the sense of like, I knew I was going to have loose skin, right? Like it just comes with the territory type thing. So I had quickly just kind of brainwashed myself for a long time to just know that it was coming, right? And then I kind of like did this weird manifesting thing my whole entire life, right? Like in the back of my head, I always had this small little voice that was like always telling me when I'm skinny, when I'm skinny, when I'm skinny. It was never an if thing for me. As much as the world and everything else always made it out that it was going to be an if thing for me, it was just a matter of when for me. I knew that one day I had to get my shit together. It was that or end up in a box, right? So like I knew that one day it would happen. It was just kind of like, what would that look like for me? And in the back of my head, I just kind of always knew, like, if weight loss is on the table for you and you are eventually going to get there, well, you are going to have loose skin. So you are going to have to start like either one, accepting the fact that that's going to happen and be okay with that and be comfortable in your own skin, or B, figure out how the fuck you're going to pay for skin surgery. Right. And then I just found out the resources around me on how to get that done. Right. Like, there's a lot of people out there that won't lose the weight because of the skin, or because they won't be able to afford skin surgery later on, right? And I know that skin is like a really daunting thing, and I know that it doesn't get covered by insurance, right? But at the end of the day, if you want something bad enough, you will figure a way out, right? whether that's whether that's a car, whether that's a house, whether that's jewelry, whether it's whatever. You want something bad enough as a human, you figure it the fuck out and you will get it. For me, it was finding out about a company called Care Credit. And for those that don't know, Care Credit is just like a regular credit card. You have to sign up for it. They approve you. You get a line of credit and you can pay for your skin surgery through that. And they have plans where it's like 6 months, no APR, or 12 months, no APR. You know what I mean? I selected the 12-month option. I had 12 months to figure my shit out. I had 12 months to figure out how to get rid of $16,000, and I figured it out. You know what I mean? So like, yes, was I afraid of loose skin? Sure. When I had the loose skin, did it take away maybe a little bit of confidence? I guess maybe in the summer when I was trying to like be like that guy who was able to take off his shirt and then be like, I'm a melted ice cream cone. Cool. I think now, like, so I've had a tummy tuck done and I've had my chest done. And I still deal with body dysmorphia. I still deal with the fact that there is other, loose skin procedures that I need to have. I deal with the fact that like my tummy tuck was not the tummy tuck that I should have gotten, right? Like I still have excess skin because it wasn't the appropriate type of surgery. You know what I mean? So like there's variables at play with everything. And I think that if you're not the type of person that weighs out all these variables or just like goes into something that blind, I can't relate to those people online. And sometimes it bothers me, you know what I mean? Like, but I guess that like, because I'm in this new place now, it's like, I can't look somebody in the eye who's telling me that they don't want to have fucking weight loss surgery and lose 300 pounds and potentially save their life because they're going to have excess skin. It just doesn't compute in my head.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the hard part because I'm like, you can not have loose skin in a box, or you can have loose skin and still be up and moving around. Like that
Right.
To me is just it's a
like, what are all those roles doing for you right now?
Right. Exactly. And that's the thing. Confidence wise for me, as especially sexually wise, because there was a point in time where Sarah and I both got to a point we were heavy enough we couldn't even have sex. Like it wasn't even an option. Like just logistically, it just wasn't happening.
Right.
So we had to find different ways to come about that. But now that we've both lost weight, like everything's back in full swing, and it's better than it's been in 20 years, which is awesome. Like that's the best part about it. But luckily I didn't have to try to date and navigate all that stuff because I don't know how I would have been at that point. Like already being married, knowing each other in our smaller bodies and in our bigger bodies, and then back to now our smaller bodies. Like we don't worry. Like she, of course, worries about loose skin and all that shit. I just I don't even look at that. It could bother me none.
Right.
You strip that shit down, I'm still going for it. That's all that matters. To me,
my
anyway.
wife.
Yeah, to me, anyway, I don't give a shit what. Melted candle, my ass. You better turn the light off. You better come on, move. Get over here.
Everything looks the same in the dark, brother.
Right, 100%. But and as far as like the bathroom situation, like for me, I faithfully slammed Miralax every single day.
Good for you.
A cap full of Miralax and 10 ounces of Gatorade Zero, and I was ready for business. Now let me miss a couple of days of the Miralax, that train came to a halt. And I did that a few times, and trust me, once you realize what a prison shower scene really feels like, you don't want to do that shit again. So you get back to the Miralax and you don't fight. Because I was doing the same thing. I'd go like 10 days, 2 weeks, two and a half weeks, and then it would be like, no thanks.
Yeah.
I've clogged many toilets with that, and I was not a fan. So I did not. I didn't miss the Miralax. I've got 2 jugs of Miralax now, and since I've had revision to Sadie, I haven't had to touch it. But they're still there just in case.
Right.
Absolutely. I don't play those games a bit, not at all.
Yeah, that's like the number one pointer actually now that I give people is the fiber thing, because I think a lot of people just don't realize it, or they take it as a joke.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because even I did in the beginning. I took the calcium thing as a complete fucking joke. Like everyone eating the calcium chews every day. I was like, you're gonna get it in your regular diet, and like calcium. Sure, I will even attest to that right now. I think if you pay for calcium chews, I think you're a little ridiculous. But if you're not buying fiber supplements, you're going to have a bad time.
Well, and that's the thing. Like you were talking about fiber 7 times a day or whatever. That's why I chose Miralax instead, because Miralax is one cap done. You don't have to do 7, nothing.
Like I have sensory issues, so I don't like the fucking like grit. You know what I mean?
But that was the beautiful part of it in the Gatorade Zero.
Yeah.
Never knew it was there. You shake that shit up, and I never tasted it, not a one time.
Yeah.
But there's people that do have that issue and they don't want to
Yeah.
do it. But I'm not taking 5 or 7 times a day.
Or it like
bro.
turns into like that thick, like, like that gelled water consistency.
Oh
You know what I mean? Like,
no. That's why. Yeah, that's why with the 10 ounces, it never did that. That's
yeah,
why I
no,
did that
ugh,
shit
I
once, and
can't.
I was like, oh, this is pretty legit. So it was funny because my grandkids would come around, they'd be like, oh, I want a drink. I'd be like, no, it's Pop Pop's poop juice. You can't have that. And so then now they know. Every time I see Gatorade, they're like, Pop Pop's poop juice. I'm like, yep, that's it.
But now there's times where like I'll accidentally OD on fiber because like I'm a big junkie of protein snacks, man. I am a protein snack connoisseur.
Yes.
The one thing about these protein snacks is they got mad fiber in them.
Oh yeah, they got lots.
So
Plenty.
if you're the type of guy like me who will leave enough calories in his day so he can slam like 3 bags of Legends protein chips at the end of the night, you're gonna have a tough morning, my friend.
Right.
You're
You
gonna
better
have a bad morning.
leave yourself some extra time in your schedule because you're not getting up for a minute.
No, bro.
So what conversations do you all recommend that couples have before bariatric surgery and then after surgery that they may often avoid? What were some of those conversations?
So I think it's really identifying both of your weaknesses, right?
Mm.
In the sense of like, you both need to understand that your lives are about to change, right? Whether it's both of you having surgery or one of the other, right? Because here's the bad part of bariatric surgery. The stats show that like 80% of couples don't last, right? When one partner has surgery and the other doesn't. And that is mainly because one partner realizes that the other partner is holding them back, or they realize all the bad habits that that other partner brings into the relationship. And I've seen it happen from people that I know online. I've seen it happen to people in my real life, who've gone through the bariatric journey and then turn around to me and have been like, hey, I don't know if I'm still in love with my partner anymore. You know what I mean? And that's a really, really bad place to be, right? Because you think that like, hey, I'm changing my life. I'm becoming a better person. I'm doing all these things. Well, why isn't my significant other, who has been the driving force behind me changing, that person who has been telling me, hey, you need to be better. Now I'm better, but why do they have all these bad habits that I don't like? You follow what I'm saying? So it's really about like getting in tune with each other and figuring out, okay, what does this next chapter look like for us as a couple? What are you going to need for me to bring into the relationship now that you are now changing, right? Because you're both not going to be with the same partner you were before. That person changes, the people change. It happens, right? You're going to discover new qualities about yourself that you either love or don't love, and you're going to find qualities about your partner that you either love or don't love. That doesn't mean that they're a bad person. But if you're not willing to address these things, that's when things get rocky. That's when relationships fall apart. That's when communication just doesn't happen anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Because we have to be vulnerable with ourselves, but we have to be vulnerable with our partner.
Yeah. A lot of times what you'll find, like what John's saying is, people wake up and realize one day that they settled for almost every relationship in their life.
Yeah.
It'll be their romantic partner. It'll be their friend group. It'll be people that they are acquaintances with. It'll be their job, their boss, their whatever. They'll realize that people just treated them like complete shit. And they put up with it because they were just happy somebody liked them. Somebody loved them. Somebody wanted to lay down with them. Somebody wanted to be in their friend group. Somebody wanted to spend time with them. Whatever that time looked like, they were just happy to have somebody there to hang on to. And then once you start feeling better about yourself, that self-respect comes in and you start realizing, I don't really like the way you're talking to me. And then you'll get that, well, you didn't have a problem with it for 20 years. Now all of a sudden you lose a little bit of weight and you think you're too good. You think you think you deserve this or deserve that. Well, what you're asking for is basic human decency. And a lot of times that manifests itself in crazy ways.
Right.
And people will start thinking, oh, well, now you think you're better than everybody because you lost the weight now. You're not big anymore. So now you think you're owed something. And it's like, well, no, I was always owed something. You just chose not to do it. And I chose to accept it. And now I'm choosing to not. So that's why those conversations are so imperative, that you have the conversation, because if you don't have the conversation, very bad things are going to happen. Your emotions are going to come up. you're going to start resenting people for, you hear a lot of females will say there's a skinny privilege.
Right.
It's a pretty privilege, a skinny privilege, whatever, however they choose to label it. They'll say, it really upsets me now that people treat me different because I've lost weight. I matter now. I'm visible now. People hold the door for me now. People talk to me now. People see me, however that may look. And yeah, it sucks. It's a pain in the ass to think that you were ever discounted for something like weight. The same thing is, for any other reason you could discount a person. But, to having those conversations kind of get you prepared for a lot of that shit that can happen, because you are going to be more visible in your relationship. You may come up with jealousy things that aren't there, that weren't there before. Like, it's funny to me because Sarah's the least jealous person on the planet. Get me out in public now and have people start talking to me. She's like, we go to bariatric events, and she's like, "Oh, here comes your fan club." Like, she talks shit now. She'll say shit like that, and it's funny. It's funny to me because she's not a jealous person. She knows I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, I'm fucking old, dude. These girls that you're talking about that are my fan club could give two shit. They look at me like somebody's cool grandpa. They don't give a fuck about me. They're not trying to come at. I'm 50 years old, dude. I was like, I'm old, wrinkled ass with gray hair coming out of my face. I don't give a fuck. But it's just funny. It makes me laugh that she's like, "Man, I don't." She'll make little comments and you love internet girlfriend, and I'm like, "Shut up, like, please." But it's like that kind of shit pops up. Like, even the most secure people who have never been jealous before will start to get jealous because attention's coming. Attention's going to happen, and you have to be ready and prepared to take it. Yep. And have to understand, like, that's where a lot of the breakdowns happen, is because people that are used to never getting attention are getting a lot of attention. And if you're looking at your partner on the couch and he's, fuck you, go fix me turkey pot pie. I don't give a shit about how, your non-scale victory or that you lost 20 pounds this week. Where's my dinner? Whatever. And they're talking to you crazy, but you got somebody on the internet being like, "Oh my God, you're the most beautiful thing ever. If if I could hang out with you, you'd never have to do shit. I would never say anything to you like that. Your partner said that. I can't believe that. You're amazing. I don't know why all that shit factors in." And they start thinking, "Oh, well, shit, maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't have to deal with that anymore." So having the open and constant communication with your partners is so important, because if you don't, that's where all that shit starts creeping in.
Absolutely. And there was something that you said before, like, about the skinny privilege and people, like, starting to treat you better. But I think there is also something to be said that people are only also treating you based on how you're treating yourself. Right.
True.
So, like, people, when you are that person, like, you don't realize what everyone else is realizing. Right. So, like, people in your everyday life will actually start to take notice that, hey, you're taking care of yourself now. Like, you give a fuck now. And guess what? That is attractive. You know what I mean? And attraction doesn't necessarily mean sexual or romantic, right?
No.
Like, people will just be more attracted to you like a magnet. Like, they will want to talk to you. They will want to know about you. They will want to whatever, be in your presence, right? And if you're someone who is very secluded before your weight loss journey, and now all of a sudden you're getting all this newfound attention because now you're treating yourself a little bit better, like, there's a lot of people out there that don't know what to do with that. And that's not a knock at them. It's just like they weren't willing to put themselves out there in high school. And now high school's over and they were still kind of like in the shadows all this time. And now all of a sudden they're out of the shadows. And it's like, oh my God, who is that? I want to be around that person. You know what I mean? So it's confidence to me is a two-way street.
Yeah.
Makes sense. It makes sense. And I mean, I think that's why me and Sheena are choosing to do it together. I think it's another part of our
great.
it's another part of our journey together. She actually she called me almost freaking out the other day because she's already been approved, and they're waiting on this sleep apnea test for me because I'm 35 BMI, and I guess I so I have to have something else going for insurance.
Yeah, but have another comorbidity.
Yeah. And I've already been diagnosed with sleep apnea, but it was like 10 years ago. So Dr. Joe was like, "Hey, let's get this reassessed just to."
I promise you it hadn't gotten any better.
Yeah, I swear.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I told him. I'm like, "No." But she called me. She's like, "We're supposed to do this together. Like, what happens if you don't get scheduled?" And I'm like, "My babe, we'll get you done, and then I'll get as soon as I can. I'll get in." But it's something that we wanted to do together, and we're obviously aware of the the statistics and stuff like that and the changes and stuff. But we're looking at it as something just to do another part of our journey together and make the last half
Right.
of our life or last part of our life. We'll
Yeah.
be half or probably over that already. But the kids are almost grown. We got a couple left. They got 4 or 5 years left there, and then they'll all be grown. And so by that time, we want to be healthy and be able to go out and enjoy our life together. And so this is
Right.
just a part of us being able to do that.
Yeah.
So real quick, well, not real quick. I mean, it can't be real quick, whatever. But anyway, last question to come up with because I know we're running out
Oh,
of
we're
time.
good.
So
Yeah.
if someone is considering surgery,
Mhm.
what's the hard truth you wish someone had told you early on?
Hmm. I guess for me, the hard truth would have to be you're only gonna get the results for the work that you're willing to put in,
Mm,
right?
okay.
Because I say that because there were not the resources available that there are today when I was getting surgery, especially as a man, right?
Mm,
I was a
interesting.
person I didn't know any other men who got surgery. Like, that was just, like, it was not a thing, right? And, like,
Mhm,
when I was first learning about bariatric surgery, there was only one person in my immediate life, like, that I could actually physically talk to that had it, and she wasn't telling anyone she had it. She was a girl I went to high school with, and I heard through the grapevine that she had it, and then we used to have to, like, sneak to talk to each other about it because she didn't want anyone to know,
mm,
and that was my avenue of getting advice, and she was not having a great experience with bariatric surgery. So I was just hearing all this negative stuff from her. You know what I
mm,
mean? So I think for me, it's definitely like you're only going to get the results of the work that you're gonna put in
mhm,
because of just how negatively she spoke about the experience to me. But if there's any bit of advice, period, that I could just give anyone is find your resources, find the person that you relate to the most, and ask that person as many questions as they'll answer. That's the best piece of advice.
mm,
Yeah. I would honestly say that we talked about this a little bit ago. The mental aspect of this journey is the most important, yet the most undersold. Because if
mhm,
they had to tell you pre-op all the mental gymnastics you'll have to go through to make this journey work for you, most people wouldn't do it.
No.
So I understand why they don't talk about that up front because everybody's mental journey will be different.
mhm,
But it is the most important thing that you start doing everything you can to align yourself with the life you want to leave post-op. If you can do it as far back pre-op as you can, you will be in such a much better position. I stopped, like, for myself, I stopped drinking, because I was probably a 2-gallon, 2.5 gallon a day Mountain Dew drinker before I had surgery,
Mm,
and
yeah,
I just stopped cold, a year before I had surgery because I knew the one thing I didn't wanna do was go through caffeine withdrawals and recover from surgery at the same time.
yep.
So I was like, "Yeah, let's not do that." So I went ahead and cut that out ahead of time, and it's been I I haven't had Mountain Dew in 7 years. So
mm,
it's just not something I'm willing to even come close because I know, like, the thing for me is I can't have carbonation post-op, but I guarantee you Mountain Dew has the least amount of carbonation of any of the caffeinated drinks and sure, like, any of the sodas, and I know that I will use that to my advantage, and the second I take a sip, I'm gonna buy bottle after bottle, and that's what because it has the least amount of carbonation, but it has the most amount of sugar, and I guarantee you I would go right I would fall smooth off that wagon.
Yeah.
I'd forget there was a wagon. I'd be so far off that bitch.
mm,
But so honestly, I mean, but that's all part of the, it's all mental gymnastics. Like it's all things about you have to tell yourself that you're going to lock in and make these changes and do these things. And the there's most people are not ready for the mental aspect of
Mm,
this. So I would
mm,
definitely do as much research as you can. With Barry Nation, we have almost 300 episodes of the podcast now. Actually, we are at 300 episodes of the podcast now that have many episodes that are linked to the mental aspect of this with bariatric psychologists, psychiatrists, all the things that therapists that are very closely connected with the bariatric world. So those are the resources like John we're talking about are out there. Barry Nation as a membership community that has 75 live supports a month that you can go to on Zoom and click right from the privacy of your own home, so you can sit in there and you don't have to worry about sharing on social media and having, your Tom from accounting see you in your underwear doing your progress pictures and shit like that. I mean, you're protected behind a security wall that you can get in and have these conversations with experts in the community and peer led supports, and so you don't ever have to feel alone. So
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think as right now, it's kind of an outsider support person looking in. I think the community is just watching your and Sarah's journey, right? Like getting connected with the community and a community of people that support you and see you how you want to be seen and support you on the journey that you're on. And I think is an important piece. And one of the things I think has given us confidence to go into it is knowing that we have the people around us at this point that are going to support that. Um, and then yeah, that mental health piece. Yeah, I think that's um,
It's so
I
important.
advocate
It's
that.
so
Yeah,
overlooked. Yeah,
it's so
it's so
overlooked.
overlooked.
Yeah, yeah, that mental health piece is important in general, but when you go through a massive change, like we're talking about, like it's even more vital.
Right. And it is a short window of time that the change is occurring, right? Because like,
Mhm,
listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. You get surgery, you could be down 100 pounds in 4 to 6 months. You know what I mean? And that's quick. That's
mhm,
lightning fast. You know what I mean? And your whole life is different.
mhm, mhm. It's like I don't know if it's kind of similar. I just thought that popped in my head though. It's like winning the lottery kind of deal. Like your
Yeah.
life changes,
Hmm.
yeah, no,
and
I just started saying you take somebody that's never had something, whatever that something is, and
mhm,
you give them that something in a very short span of time. You have to figure out then how to navigate having that something that you've never had.
Yeah,
right,
you are
And
giving people their dream, right? For the
yeah,
first time ever.
right,
100%.
yeah,
And it's
absolutely,
it's very hard. The community aspect of it is extremely important, like you had said, because you have I tell people a lot of times, like, you'll have the difference between sympathy and empathy. So John didn't have anybody in his direct or orbit that had it, so he didn't have anybody to lean on that would say, you're our regular people in our lives, like Derek, for instance, you and Sheena have always been able to sympathize with us in what we have, like what we go through. Like, oh man, that sucks that you're feeling that way. I'm sorry that this was so hard on you. Hopefully it gets better. And that's
mhm,
awesome to hear. Like, it's awesome to have sympathetic people in your life.
Yeah.
But when you have somebody that's empathetic, like John can sit back and say, "Oh fuck, man, when I went through that, this is what I did. Oh man, I
Right.
felt like this, and I know exactly what you're saying because when I did this, this is what this did."
mhm,
And the difference between that is the sympathy and empathy portion is somebody that's walked in your shoes can be very empathetic to what's going on, and can also give you avenues of kind of thought processes and help in how to overcome those types of things. So that's why community is extremely important,
yeah,
because while we're not doctors or experts, we're experts in our patient lived experience. And that is just
mhm,
as important to have somebody to say, because a doctor can operate on you all the time and tell you that you're metabolically well or physically well, or there's no problem with your surgery. But if they haven't had the surgery, they can't tell you why you're feeling the way you feel. They
right,
can't tell you, they can't tell you how it felt to be where you are or what it's going to look like on the other side of where you are,
Hmm.
because they haven't been through it. And they'll
right,
tell you that most surgeons will be the first one to tell you, like, it's awesome that patients are out there talking to other patients because they can tell them exactly what we can't. And
Right.
that's
mm,
exactly what Dr. Joe tells me all the time about Bariatric. It's like, it's awesome that you guys do that because you guys are offering something we just can't do.
Right, right.
right,
And now that's why you see a lot of these surgical groups offering support groups now and online communities.
Yep.
Because if not, like there really is no way to get these resources
Right.
unless you know somebody who knows somebody who's in the community.
Yeah.
Right.
mhm,
And I've watched this bariatric weight loss community grow over the last 10 years. I've had a front row seat to it all. And, I'm blessed to say I'm kind of a part of the building blocks of it all, right? To
Yeah.
where it is now. And it's crazy because again, starting out, like I was maybe one of three guys in it,
Right.
that were really talkative about having surgery on this online community, right? Like
mhm,
it was taboo at one point in time for men to have bariatric surgery, right? Because men don't struggle and men don't fucking ask for help and men don't do these things. Like and we exist. It's just back then, guys didn't want to talk about it.
mhm,
Figure it out yourself.
Right.
You know, guys are like, I went through the hell by myself. I was in the foxhole. You'll figure it out. Here's a gun. Here's a bullet. You know, you'll make it out the other side, you know, and that's not how things should operate. Right. And thankfully, there are groups like Barry Nation that are doing these awesome things, and they have these online communities, and they do these retreats, and they have the resources. They bring the people, they have the keynote speakers, right? Because that didn't exist ever. Right. We weren't like, I would not even consider the bariatric community a Weight Watchers group at one point in time. Like, we didn't even have enough people to make a Weight Watchers group. And now it's flourished, and it's huge. And it's like, you know, some of these people, dude, they're some of the best friends that I've ever had in my life. And I only strictly talk to them on an online platform. And maybe I see them once or twice a year at a retreat or like whatever. But you know what? At the end of the day, there's not one friend I have in real life who I can relate to that I could actually fall back on and be like, hey, remember when life was like this? Or like, hey, I'm going through something right now that like maybe you've went through. Like, can we talk about it? I can't do that with anyone in my fucking life.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, but the community only, like, you will only get out of the community what you put into the community.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the kind of last thought that I had was like it's not just about the massive weight loss that changes your body. It changes your relationships, your identity, and the way you see yourself. It's all that wrapped up in this in the surgery. And that's why it's important to have the community, the mental health help, all those things. So, well, we appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you guys having me on such a milestone episode.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us. So,
hell yeah.
Well, if this conversation hit home, share it with someone and follow at the Majo Podcast, at the MAJO Podcast on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the platforms. And we'll see you next Wednesday for another real, raw, unfiltered conversation.
Yeah, take it easy.
Be good.